Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another how to install video on the channel today. I've got quite a few requests, surprisingly, to do a new Divide and Conquer how to install video because the new Divide and Conquer 2.1 came out 3 days ago. So that's what I'm doing for you guys today. Now, there are quite a few things that we need to make sure are done first before we actually get into the installation part, but I really caution you guys not to skip through any of this video. I see time and time again on a lot of my how to install videos some questions in the comments section that I definitely outlined in the installation video itself. So I know that it's really boring, it's really drawn out, but just follow this to the best of your abilities. If you don't understand something, don't move on, just rewind it and watch it again until you get it right. Now, this Divide and Conquer 2.1, I did install it and then tested it the way that I installed it to make sure, obviously, that it did work. And it was surprisingly stable, a lot more stable than the previous version of Divide and Conquer. I did see quite a few crashes when I was trying to go through my campaign on Divide and Conquer a couple months back, but I played through about 20 turns and did 2 siege battles and 2 land battles on the campaign, and I didn't have any issues at all. Now, there's a couple of small issues that probably will be fixed in the upcoming patch, but I'll let you guys know that at the very end of the video. But alright, so let's get into this. It is going to probably be a little bit of a lengthy installation video. A lot of you guys were saying that you don't really appreciate the 10-minute loading bar when I do the installation parts 1 and 2 and etc. The reason that I do that is just to kind of show you guys that I'm not skipping any parts whatsoever. And you know, I see, not to fault anybody else on YouTube, but a lot of the installation parts I kind of find for the videos that they're 4 minutes long, but this process doesn't take 4 minutes. It takes, 20, sometimes 25 minutes to actually do. And there's a lot of guesswork in the rest of that time with a 4-minute installation video, and it kind of rushes through things and doesn't give you a lot of time to be able to see exactly what's going on. So that's why I kind of take my time with it. But for this video, I will start the installation process, and then when the loading bar is moving forwards, I'll cut it after I start it and then cut it back in just before it ends, so that it kind of cuts down on a bit of time. But that's enough for me. Let's get to the actual installation process. So basically, if we look over here in the profile section, this will always outline what kind of requirements you need for this mod. So for those of you guys that don't know, you're going to need to go to moddb.com, and it's basically where a lot of the mods are stored. And this is probably what the home screen looks like. Well, it definitely is what the home screen looks like because I just loaded it to it. And there is a little search bar in the top section there. And all you have to do is type in Divide and Conquer, and it should really just pop up as the first one on the list here. And this is the home page. This is basically just the modder kind of giving you an opening summary of the mod. But right over here, we've got the Medieval 2 icon, and it's basically telling us that we need the Medieval 2 game plus the Total War Kingdoms expansion. Now, I get a lot of people that just have the Medieval 2, and they don't have Total War Kingdoms. What Total War Kingdoms is it's basically an expansion pack for Medieval 2, but a lot of the mods are actually built off this expansion pack. So if you only have Medieval 2, chances are it's not going to work. You could sure give it a try, but I'm almost sure that it won't. And it's really not that expensive. I just looked it up today, and it's $12.99 Canadian for me on Steam. So I don't know what that would translate to you guys. But it's not very expensive, and if you want to wait a couple of months too, I think in June they will have the Steam Summer Sale, and it usually goes down to about $5. But yeah, so make sure you have Medieval 2 plus Total War Kingdoms. And then if we look at the installation guide, I really appreciate the modder has really gone into a very, very good detail in explaining all of this stuff that kind of is prerequisites for Divide and Conquer. Now, basically what he's saying here is that it's a tutorial guide for 2.1, which we know. Now, 2.1 is not a standalone game. You will need Third Age to run this mod as well. So you're going to need Medieval 2, you're going to need probably the Total War Kingdoms, and you're going to need a working Third Age 3. So stop right here. If you guys do not have Third Age 3, or the vanilla Third Age, you need to go and check out my video on how to install Third Age Total War, or there's tons of other YouTubers that do Third Age Total War installation videos on YouTube. Get that down. It needs to be Third Age 3.2, as you can see outlined here, so make sure you have the up-to-date version, and also test it as well. Like, don't just install Third Age and then jump right into Divide and Conquer. You need to test it, take the time to play through it, and make sure everything works. And he's also just outlining here, like, don't expect to easily run Divide and Conquer if you can barely run Third Age or Medieval 2. So you need to be able to run Third Age and Medieval 2 quite easily. And now, this is an interesting thing too. If you have a 32-bit Windows system, you're going to have a hard time being able to play Divide and Conquer 2.1. There is a large awareness patch that we will have to run at the end of the video. And basically what it does, it explains it right here. It actually just allows for the game to use more memory. So I think down here, if we read, yeah, he's saying that you should have at least 4 gigabytes of RAM in your computer for the patch to work. So that's fine. And then this is a big one too. For any Mac users or Linux, this will not be supported, and they will not be able to help you to support this. They're only doing a Windows version of Divide and Conquer. So now that we've got all that out of the way, we've got Medieval 2, we've got the Kingdoms expansion, we have Third Age 3.2, we have a Windows version, we have a 64-bit system, and we have 4 gigabytes of RAM, at least. Okay, and I think for those of you guys that only have a 32-bit system, I think at the very bottom he does kind of spell... Where did he say something? That said, 32-bit systems will not be able to utilize the patch, blah, blah, blah. And then this is what we're going to have to go into as well. I think he says somewhere that if you do have a 32-bit system, you can go ahead and try it. It just may not work as well as one that has 64. Okay, so now we're on to the next part of the video, and this is a really, really important part here. Apparently, we need to disable our UAC and virtual store before even starting this download. And I'm going to walk you through kind of a brief version of it, but there is a link on the ModDB website to the actual modder's YouTube channel, and he does a very detailed version on how to actually do this. But for the sake of my video, I will walk you through it very quickly. Now, if we go into your My Computer here, or the PC version, basically the first thing we need to do is go to the virtual store and make sure that we do not have a Medieval 2 folder there. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So if we go into our local C here, and then into our users, and then go to the one that has your name on it, or the name of the PC. And then we're going to go to app data. Now, if you guys don't see your app data, it's basically a hidden folder that you need to set to be able to show up. So that's very, very easy. At the top, you just have to go to View, and then just hit check hidden icons. So you see now that I've unchecked mine, the app data folder is nowhere to be found. But if you just go up to View and check hidden icons, it pops right up. So go ahead and click app data, and then local. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see virtual store here. And you can see that I do not have a Medieval 2 folder here. This is where it would show up if it was there. But you can see in a program files, I've just got like a Adobe Cloud stuff. I don't even have a Medieval folder. So if you did, let's say, have like something like this, just like that, then basically you just have to, basically just have to delete that folder. So that's the first step. And the second thing that we need to do, oh man, I'm like clicking all over the place. So the second thing we need to do is to give Medieval 2 kind of administrative controls. Now, I'm not a technical guru or anything like that, so I don't know the actual terms for it, but basically just follow along as best you can here. Now, it depends on where Medieval 2 is installed. Mine is not on the local C disk, but if it is on the local C disk for you guys who use Steam, it's local C, program files 86, Steam, Steam apps, common, and then your Medieval 2 would show up in this list here. But I don't have mine there. Just for those of you guys, I'm not sure if anybody who is watching this has a disk version, but basically for the disk version, it should be on program files 86, and then you should see a Sega folder here. And just a side note, I did watch the modders or the main modders video on this, and he actually said for those of you disk users, it actually speeds up turns and makes it a lot more stable if you cut that Sega folder out and paste it outside of Program Files 86. So just a little tidbit there. But for me, mine's on my G game. So for those of you guys that have already found it on your local C, just stick there for a minute. So I basically just have to go to my Steam games, Steam apps, common, and then here's my Medieval 2 here. So we're not going to click to go in it. We're basically going to right-click on it and go to Properties. And then it's going to load up this here. We're going to go over to Security. And you just have to find the Users section. So your guys in your list, your User section, you're probably not going to have a couple of these checked off, like the Write, Modify, and Full Control one. You'll probably not have those checked off. So basically what you need to do is click Edit. And then click on the Users again. And then basically just go down the list and check all of these off. So like I think it was, what was it? I think it was just Write and Modify and Control that I didn't have checked off. So you just have to check this. So make sure everything is checked off there and then hit Apply. And then I got a couple of errors here, but it didn't seem to affect the installation. So just go ahead and click Continue. And it's going to load through the security information here, and all of the files that it's loading up are basically just being tagged with full access. So, like the modder said, for some reason, you know, Windows is very particular about these things being run, especially with the mods, because they have a lot of files that are trying to load the game, and Windows can prohibit them from working. But this only takes a couple of minutes, so I'm going to let this go live while I just take a sip of water here. But for those of you guys that have it installed on the C drive, you may not get that pop-up. So I think it's just because I might have that on the G drive that I'm getting that little message. And I think that's it. There we go. So I don't think that it kept anything. Oh, there's the properties. So all we have to do is hit OK and OK. And then that part is done. And that, I think, is the most important part to the installation. So again, I'll leave the link for his really comprehensive video there. He seems to know a lot more about it than I do. But now we can go ahead and download Third Age 3.2 if you don't have it already. If you do have it, I strongly suggest that you delete it and reinstall it fresh, just in case. Like it only takes, I'd say, maybe 10 minutes to do it, but it could save you the process of restarting it completely. And this is interesting, too. For those of you guys that rename your folders, do not rename your Third Age 3 folder after it is installed to one of the Kingdoms expansion folders. Now, we were able to do that for Third Age 3, like the vanilla Third Age and Reforged. We were able to do that in my videos because I just use it to trick Steam to launch it through Steam. It's just an easier way instead of editing bat files and that kind of stuff. But it's basically telling you not to do it on this one. So just do not rename your Third Age 3 folder. However, if you do want to, just go to the ModDB site. I'm not going to show you how to do this because I don't want to rename mine. But if you do, then you can do that. He's saying, that being said, you can do it as long as blah, 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 blah. But I'm not even going to get into that. So if you do want to rename it, just check it out in the installation instructions here and then follow it. All right. But now that we have Third Age 3 working and you guys have tested it to make sure it works, we can actually get on the actual Divide and Conquer process of installing. So scroll all the way up to the top and go to Files. And you're going to see Divide and Conquer version 2.1 Part 1 and Part 2. So we can go ahead and open both of those here. And confirm your file sizes. As I always say on all of my videos, make sure that when you click Download Now and you check your Downloads folder, that it matches this projected file size. So we've got 1.94 gigabytes for Part 1 and 1.8 gigabytes for Part 2. So you basically just have to click Download Now on both of them. Don't close this window until you see the pop-up come up in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. There we go. If you are doing this on Internet Explorer or Firefox, I suggest you do Chrome. I actually had issues in getting these installed on Internet Explorer for some reason. So just get Chrome. It's free. It's easy. But there we go. So I've got both of those installing. However, I've already got them installed in my downloads folder. So you can pause the video here. And once you got it downloads, we can pick up the video. But I'm just going to go ahead and cancel those because I do not need them. And in the downloads folder, so here we go. I've got my Divide and Conquer 2.1 Part 1 and Divide and Conquer Part 2. And if you just go ahead and click on it, you can see 1.93 gigabytes, 1.94 gigabytes, so that is pretty close. And then this one is 1.79 gigabytes, and that is 1.8 gigabytes. So pretty much dead on there. And we can go ahead and close those now. Actually, we can close ModDB altogether. So now basically all we have to do is run the installer. So go ahead and click on Part 1. And just waiting for the little permissions to come up there. There we go. So just click yes. And then this is very important here. Go ahead and accept the agreement. And then he actually has very, very detailed installation instructions here. So if you guys run into a snag, be sure to come back and read all of these yourself. But he's got steps for Steam users and for disk users, which is really, really nice to see. Actually, not too many modders go through all of this trouble to make sure that we have like a comprehensive installation guide. So I really appreciate that. But basically, I'm going to help walk you through it right now. But basically, it's just saying this is probably the most important one, is the correct ending of the installation is as follows: third H3 data. But he says do not click on the data folder itself, and I'll show you that when we go through, because it's just going to install the data folder inside the data folder if you do that. So we just have to basically follow this for those of you guys who are Steam users and have it on the C drive. This is where we're going to be going. I'll show you that when we start as well, but mine's on the G drive. So after I show you this pathway, I'm going my own way, basically. But okay, so for browsing, so for those of you guys that have it on your local C drive, if we collapse that, so let's go local C, program files 86, scrolling down to Steam, scrolling down to Steam apps, Common, Medieval 2, and then you will just, Medieval 2, mods, third H3. But I don't have any of these installed. You can see that they're grayed out. But just follow that step for those of you guys that have it on the C drive. For me, I have to go to G, Steam Games, Steam Apps, Common, Medieval 2, mods, and then third H3. That's all I have to click. And then if you guys scroll over here, you can see that the data has already been applied here. So that's why we don't click on it, because then it's going to say third H3 / data again, and that will not work. So once we're finished that and we make sure that we have it in the right spot, we just have to click next, and it's basically saying that the third H3 already exists. That is because we already installed third Age Vanilla 3.2, but we're going to be overwriting those files for Divide and Conquer. So let's go ahead and click yes and install. And it's basically saying it's mark read only. Click retry to remove the read only attribute. Interesting. Okay. So there we go. We've run into the first snag. I don't know if that was supposed to happen for you guys. So let's see. Steam Games, Steam Apps, Common, Medieval 2 Properties, Security. I might have checked that by accident. Okay, so let's see if this fixes it here. I'm not exactly sure. I might have checked that by accident when I was going through the property section. But see, that's why live installations are better. Hopefully you guys are installing yours no problem. But I'll make a quick cut here, and then I'm going to bring it back once the loading bar is almost finished, and then we'll try again with 2.1. Alright guys, well that was a 10-minute mistake, so hopefully you guys didn't encounter the same problem, but I think maybe I just clicked that read only and applied that for some reason. I don't exactly know, but I'm just going to double check my security features. Yeah, it looks like it's still all applied for full control. So let me jump back into this. For those of you guys that went through without a hitch, that's perfect. But for those of you guys that encountered the same problem as me, now you know how to fix it. Just go and make sure that it's not read only. So let's accept this, and let's go close that down for ease. Common, Medieval 2, mods, Third Age 3, next, install. Aha! So look at that. It looks like it's downloading properly. That is a good sign. But I'm just like you guys. I struggle with installing mods all the time. And you wouldn't believe how many times I am ripping my hair out, struggling to figure out why it's not working or why it keeps crashing before I actually get a solid install video out for you guys. So it kind of shows you that, yes, I am a human. But I'm going to make a little cut here, guys, and we'll bring it back once the downloads bar is almost complete. Alright guys, so it looks like it's just about finished part 1, which is good. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. It looks like it's downloading properly, which is excellent. So now it's telling you we need to we need to install part 2. So let's go ahead and hit next and finish. And we basically just have to do the exact same process as we did in part 1 with part 2. Bring it to the same folders. So I'm just waiting for that Windows to allow me to open that. So there we go. So accept the agreement and click next. Again, he's got all of the instructions out and very detailed. And then hit browse to make sure that you're going to the correct spot. So for those, again, who are Steam users on local C, program files 86, Steam, Steam apps, common, Medieval 2, mods, Third Age 3. But don't double click inside Third Age 3. Just click Third Age 3. And for those of you guys that are disk users, it'd be local C, program files 86, Sega, Medieval 2 mods, Third Age 3. But for me, because I'm special, and basically just because my local C disk is just so small, I have to put all my games on my G drive. But same thing with Steam apps, common. There it is, Medieval 2 mods, and click Third Age 3. And then again, just kind of scroll over, make sure that that data did populate there, and it did. So let's go ahead and click next. It's saying, do you want to overwrite? You hit yes and install. And the second installation is going to be going now. So another quick cut, guys, and I'll bring it back to you just before it finishes. Alright, so just finishing up the last of part 2 now. And there we go. So now it says when you're ready to continue with setup, click next, but it talks about some very important things here that you guys should probably read. It's talking about for the disk users in your directory, it's going to show you how to locate the LAA file and run through the setup. But I'm basically going to show you how to do that now. So if you just move this over to the other side here, and you should have your Medieval 2 folder open. If you don't, grab it open. And it says locate the file LAA and run it. Double click. So it's in the data folder of Third Age. So Medieval 2, mods, Third Age 3, data. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom here, you see that there's this LAA aware file. So double click on that. And it's going to ask you if it's okay. Just hit yes. And then you should pop up with this little LAA window here. So let me just pull this one down so we can still have the directions. And then it's basically telling you to select the ellipse boxes in the upper right hand corner. That's these 3 dots. So if you click on that, then basically what we need to do is just format, I guess, basically these 2 little exe files. If you do not have this Kingdoms exe file here, it's very easy to get. Basically just copy this Medieval 2 one, paste it on the desktop, rename it Kingdoms, exactly as shown, no capital, no .exe, nothing, no brackets, no quotation marks, just like this, and then drag it back into the same spot so that you have both of them here. But basically all we need to do is to, since it wants us to attach one, so we just have to click Medieval 2 and open. And this will be unchecked, so just check it and click Save. And it says Update performed successfully. But it wants you to do the Medieval 2 file or the Kingdoms file. It says if you if you do the Medieval 2 file, repeat the process that if you have both of them. So make sure that you do both of them. I did both and it works, so just probably do that. And then a little PS here, there aren't any more LOTR movies except the TATW ones. You need a submod to add them back in. But yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we've already done the Medieval 2 one, so we just basically have to click back up here and then click on Kingdoms this time, open. Make sure that's checked and then hit save. Update performed successfully, so we can go ahead and close that and hit next and finish. And everything is done. It should be working, so I'm going to back out of here and launch Third Age. And I'm going to make a little bit of a cut because, as you guys know, for those of you guys that watch all of my tutorials, my Bandicam will not allow me to swap from the display recording to a game recording without actually stopping and starting the recording. It's really annoying and long and drawn out and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so we'll pick it up when we load into the new Divide and Conquer 2.1. Welcome, guys, to Third Age Divide and Conquer version 2.1. And as you can see, you guys should have this V2.1 in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. That basically just shows you that you have the right version. So I guess making my Medieval 2 folder and all of its mods read-only was an easy fix, thankfully. I just had to wait for all the files to be reconverted. Most of you guys probably did not have that problem, but for the one or two of you that, you know, are kind of just clicking around haphazardly and maybe did do that, I'm glad to have shown you how to fix that. But we're just going to jump into a campaign real quick just to show you that everything is up and running and working. I did test it with this faction first because it was a newer faction. They've got some really, really cool units. I really like them, but they start off as a horde without any settlements, and it takes about 6 to 8 turns just to reach the settlement, and then you have to siege it for a couple turns. So for time's sake, I'm just going to jump in as Gondor. We can usually almost always jump across to Osgiliath and get a quick battle there. But as soon as I hit start, my recording gets a little bit wonky, so I can't really talk to you guys while it's loading up because my recording just lags. But I will say that as soon as you click start battle, it does actually take, I'd say, about 5-6 seconds before the campaign actually loads in. So don't freak out. It does take a little bit longer than normal, but everything should work properly. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Alright, and there we go. We've loaded in pretty much without any problems whatsoever. Very, very smooth. Much better than the last one. As I said, I did experience a few crashes on the last version. But basically, this is just kind of an opening statement here from the Divide and Conquer Council. And I really strongly urge you guys to read this. It literally says, I would ask you to take a few moments to read this, as it will answer 80% of all questions we get asked. And this outlines just a ton of things about the mod that you would never know unless you read this. So it's really, really important to read it. And that's pretty much it. We can just exit all of this here, and we should be able to get a nice quick battle here. If we come across like that and
Captain of Gondor.
Attack East Osgiliath like that, just get a ram. And then I'm going to, obviously, I have to wait anyways, but I'm happy that I do have to wait one turn, because let's just do an end turn real quick so that we show that it doesn't crash. Unfortunately, though, I'm just going to make a quick cut on the end turn too, just for the first part, because of that little Lord of the Rings sound. I just don't want to get copyrighted, but we'll bring it back to you very quickly. There we go, just cutting out that sound there. And let's speed this process up just a little bit. Don't need to watch everything that's going on here. And it looks like they're going to come out against us, which is fine with me. And we're probably not going to win this, but again, just for proving's sake, let's jump into this battle.
For the White City! Units Await my orders.
Alright, there we go. So let's drop the ram here. It looks like everything has loaded in properly. And where is the enemy? So they're on the other side of the bridge, way over here. Yeah, they're really far. So let's just run them forwards here and quickly fast forward. But yeah, this is the city of Osgiliath. It was playable before in Vanilla Third Age, but it looks like they've added in this bridge here, so I don't know if that's something that the Vanilla Third Age did, or if that's something that Divide and Conquer did. But yeah, they made a lot of positive changes for the best. The only couple of things that I did run into is that on the campaign map, when you're moving side to side, at some points it's very fluid, but at other points it's a little bit laggy. And the second thing that I notice is during siege battles, when the balance of power is heavily in your favor, the guy still does say defeat is almost certain, or, you know, the battle turns against us, or something of that nature. So that's just a couple of little things, nothing too crazy. But yeah, so as far as I know, this Divide and Conquer is campaign only, so if you do want a Third Age kind of battle platform for custom and multiplayer, I suggest you guys check out my battle on how to install Third Age Reforged. It's now a standalone game, so you don't need Third Age, the original Vanilla Third Age, to get it, which makes it a lot easier. But there we go, we're moving into battle now. And yeah, hopefully you guys did find this informative. If you have any trouble whatsoever, please just leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you. I'm usually pretty quick on responding to your comments and whatnot. But yeah, it's a very long installation video. I do apologize if that seems long-winded for anybody, but as I said, I just want to be very, very thorough and make sure that you guys aren't left guessing. And there's nothing more frustrating than really, really wanting to play a mod and not being able to. So again, thanks very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And I will see you in the next one.